Those of you who have known me for a little while, which is, most of you guys, you know that I come from my background in sales. Before that, I was a teacher, etc. I got to a place where I was pretty good at sales. Once I started removing myself from sales. And the reason is I got into sales for a very specific reason. It was because when I was a teacher before sales, I felt trapped. Put a 1 in the chat if you have ever been in like a 9-to-5 job before or some sort of role where you felt trapped, right? So we can all relate with this. I felt trapped inside of my job. I had felt trapped financially with my time. It had to be tied to going to the school, with my location freedom, pretty much in every way. I found sales kind of just on accident, but I saw it as this vehicle to getting untrapped, right? Escaping that cage, if you will. And so then I got into sales. But the funny thing is, as freeing as sales is, how many of you have felt trapped in sales before? Put a 2 in the chat. If you felt like, the being on calls every day, having to be there, not being able to take off as an example feels trapping. Yeah, exactly. Even though you can, quote unquote, make as much money as you'd like, even though you can work from anywhere, even though you can set your schedule, like there's so many freedoms, yet we can still feel trapped. That was one of the reasons why I left sales, in addition to all the other reasons. What's the point of a salesperson? What do you feel like, brand new beginner version of you, when you first got into sales, what did you believe your job was as a salesperson? Come off mute.
Convincing someone to buy.
Okay, let me call on people. This is fun. Brody, you go first.
To get money from the customer for the business.
I love it. Steven, what about you?
Literally just to sell shit. Like that's just basically what it was. I'm here to sell shit, and that's what I tried, and I just sounded like a salesman.
What does sell shit mean though? Like the word sell, what did you believe that meant? What was your job?
Just convince people that what I had was really good.
Bingo. Alex, what about you?
Yeah. Convince people. My first impression of it was convince people to buy things they may or may not need.
Yeah. That's a fun one. When you first come into sales, there's this very specific job that you're here to do. And more often than not, it includes convincing. More often than not, it includes selling stuff to people that don't need it. More often than not, it includes pitching people and convincing people. And anybody who gets really good at sales, which I would say a lot of you guys are some of the more advanced salespeople in the world. Like, one of the beautiful things about the high ticket space, especially, is that it's kind of like an incubator. It's like a pressure cooker where really only people who are very good at what they do survive. And I'll show you this through an example this morning. I went to a coffee shop to do some work. As I walked in, there was this lady standing outside with a table, like a booth set up. She was working with a local charity. I drove up in my car and I expected that as soon as I got out, she would say hi and like give me a little spiel, right? She didn't say a word. And I just walked in past her, smiled at her, waved, walked in the front doors, got my coffee and everything, did some work in there, and like an hour and a half later came back out. So number one, like sales 101 is like talk to people, right? That's kind of like the whole job is talk to people. And she didn't. And then when I came back out, I was all the way to my car and getting into my car before she ever said hi. And she just caught me right at the end before I got in the car. Overall, I'll just give you the short version. She didn't do very well. It was clear that she was pretty new at this. She didn't have much experience. And so I started talking with her and seeing where she was at and everything. And I ended up donating just because I want to make sure that I'm doing good for people. But I asked her a few questions about what was going on. And she said that she had been in that spot for like 2.5 weeks. And I was the first person that bought anything. It's for a charity for children in foster homes to get help buying school supplies, to just have what they need to go to school. Can you imagine? 2.5 weeks being there. She said she was there for about 5 hours a day. And I was the first person. When I say that you guys are probably a lot better than you may give yourself credit for, I mean it genuinely. What do you feel sales is really about?
It's about guiding someone through a problem they may have.
Solid.
Just helping guide them through it.
Solid. Sasha, what did you say?
I was saying just transferring your belief in the product or service onto them.
Yeah, it's a good one. What else?
I believe it's about finding out what people really want and then helping them get out of their own way.
Very good. Who else?
I was going to say, well, my version of what Jimin said, figuring out what people want and helping them get it.
Somebody has done their studying. Very good. Very good, Brody. It's interesting. We come into the space with one mentality, and then for those people who push through, for those people who invest in themselves to learn and grow and put in the time and the effort, we grow to the point where we have a completely different mentality, right? But a lot of the people don't really make it that far. I realized that if I wanted to continue to help people in the way that I am uniquely gifted and experienced and want to do myself, I needed to remove the term sales from everything that I was doing. And so did that, completely rebranded from the Sales Dojo, which like sales was in the fucking name. Imagine how fun that was. To the Game of Influence. When I left teaching, I left because I felt trapped. I was running from that to freedom. But then, as many of you guys pointed out, sales can also feel trapped at points, right? And so running from one thing only to run into it again. Who here has ever met somebody that is extremely one-sided in their skill set? Like they are somebody who is very, very, very good at one specific thing, but if you ask them to do it any other way, they can't. Has anybody ever known somebody like that? Cool. That can be helpful, but one of the things I believe it's my job to do as a quote-unquote coach, as a mentor, as a leader, if you will, is to look into the projected future and see if I can't make some predictions that will help save you some time, energy, and money. One of the predictions that I have, and I'm already seeing it start to come, is that, start to come, that's what she said. Anyway, one-sided people are replaced. And it's because of a lot of different reasons. We don't necessarily have to get into them, but the thing that I see working better in the future is well-rounded people. Well-rounded people. And it's really interesting because most people will tell you the opposite. Most people will tell you to specialize in one thing. Like if we take the doctor frame as an example, right? You've probably heard this 1,000 times as a salesperson. Is like a heart surgeon, cardiovascular surgeon makes more money than a general practitioner, right? Very specialized knowledge. But we're coming into a time where very specialized surgeries, et cetera, are now being done by robots, AI, overseen by a person, but nonetheless being taken over. I see a potential future where people who hyper specialize are no longer the most valuable version of that role. What I do see is people who understand things that AI and other people in general just don't seem to understand and leverage those things in a lot of different ways. Those are the people that would be really valuable. So case in point, we're all here learning influence. Influence is essentially just the engineering of thoughts and actions, etc., through probabilities and understanding psychology and human behavior, etc., blah, blah, blah. Everything all mixed into one, right? Somebody who understands that at a really deep level, like the hard skills can be automated, right? There's no longer any reason to be an expert at Excel. You just go on to Claude or Manus and get it to do everything. There's no longer a reason to be extremely good at like DM conversations, as an example, right? People have AI chatbots that are running all the time. There's no reason to be extremely adept at most things that are like quote unquote hard skills. Now, what's valuable is soft skills. And soft skills are essentially people skills. They're how to talk, how to listen, how to have emotional intelligence, how to have empathy, how to get people to have certain realizations and act on them, etc. Those are soft skills. Who knows if there's going to come a time where those get replaced, but I have a feeling that it's going to be a really long time. And even if it were to get replaced, there will still be humans who want to talk to humans. We're seeing it right now, right? How many of you see AI content on your feed? In any way? Yeah. There may be entertainment that comes from AI content, but how much do you like realistically trust it? How much are you realistically going to take action on anything that you see? Right? It may be entertaining. It may even stop your school, and you may like to see like the bunnies bouncing on the trampoline as an example, right? Like classic one. If it doesn't get you to move, if it doesn't get you to do something, if it doesn't get you to think differently, then there is still room for that to be done. right? There's still room for that work. I want to take that skill set that I've developed and I've profited from in my life in every way, and I want to give it to you all. But I also want to make sure that I'm giving it to you in a way that actually serves you to the best of my abilities. Because I, at the end of the day, have to put my head down on the pillow at night and say that I did everything that I could in order to take care of these people who entrust me with their time, energy, money, etc. Okay? I've sat down and explored this a lot. I'd like to take us into 4 different domains. The goal of this is to create a well-rounded person who understands human psychology, behavior, and can actually apply it in every area of their life. So domain number 1 is sales. Right? We're still going to be very business focused with this, to be clear, just because I think it's fun. Business is truly a game. That's part of why we call this the game of influence. Business is incredibly fun. It's incredibly rewarding. Lots of good can come from it. Domain number 1 is sales, which means for all of you, we're going to introduce more sales training, quote unquote, more of a direct application of what we're teaching to sales. Those of you who ask about how to build a pitch or objection handling or whatnot, like very specific sales related things, we're going to dive a little more into that than we have been previously. What this also means is I've noticed from some of the people who have joined and then also left the community, that's what they were asking for. And I honestly just refused to give it to them because I was running from sales myself. The second domain that I want to bring things into is marketing. All right. Sales, marketing. You guys are all in sales. You know that if you don't have good marketing, it kind of sucks to be in sales, doesn't it? Versus when you're on an offer with incredible marketing, it's one of the easiest jobs in the world. And it's just because sales and marketing are the same thing. It's just at different parts of the funnel. As a salesperson, you don't really have to practice capturing somebody's attention as much as somebody who creates content on the sea of content that gets out there. I think there's something like 1 billion new posts every single day on social media. Did you know that? It could be 2 actually. And somewhere between 1 and 2 billion new posts on social media every single day. That's wild. That's crazy to me. So if you're a marketer, you have to understand that a little bit more. As a salesperson, a little bit less. And so I will say that through learning marketing, I got a lot better at selling to cold audiences because essentially that's what marketing does, right? So like cold calling or just walking up to somebody on the street, or case in point, when I closed that $65 million deal, I don't talk about it much, but I literally just walked in the front door of the building. The third domain is leadership. Okay, leadership. And I think this is incredibly important because leadership is a massive domain in life, whether it be leading your family, if you're a dad or a mom, you got kids, or even no kids, leading your family. Whether you are a team leader in some way, whether you're managing people, should you move on to being in like the C-suite or an executive of some kind, and even just in one-on-one conversations like in sales, there are massive leadership principles that you can leverage in order to get things done and help people at the highest level. And the fourth domain is then kind of similar, but slightly different. It's basically public speaking. And I say public speaking, we'll probably rename it in some way, but basically like stagecraft. So for example, if you're a manager and you need to have a chat with a team in a way that's kind of a one-sided conversation, you know how to do it. If you ever want to learn to sell from stage, as an example, you can do it. If you ever want to run webinars or group trainings, like what Cameron and I do with you guys every single day of the week, you can do it. Biggest fear, public speaking. Yeah, exactly. So sales, marketing, leadership, public speaking are the 4 main domains. The biggest thing is I've gotten clear on the mission that I have personally. This will be the mission of the Game of Influence as a whole. I've gotten clear that my mission and my vision is to create a world full of more influential people who want to use it for good. The things that we're learning and the things that we practice are incredibly powerful, like incredibly powerful. And people often use that power for bad. And so I've realized that I would like to take it as a personal mission of mine to not necessarily combat that. Like it's always going to be there. I'm not there to fight anybody. However, I do think that only good can come when, yeah, exactly, Brody, when people who have the skill set to actually enact meaningful change in the world use it in ways that promote more goodness in the world around. That's basically it. Whether it be in your family to create kids that grow up and like, who knows what your kids are going to grow up and become these incredible people, or whether it be your prospects, right? One conversation with somebody can change the course of somebody's life, and not just their life, but whoever they're with on a daily basis, their families, their friends, their work colleagues, whoever. Or should you go on and like be a public speaker, right? Imagine the level of impact that you can have for people. And I think people underestimate how much impact they can have on people over the course of their life and the ripple effect, the butterfly effect that happens. I'm taking that on as a personal mission of mine. And because Perks, the game of influence, is my fucking group, I'm saying that this is what we're going to be about. So in Module 1, Influence Like a Christ, is great. Big goals can sometimes seem kind of weird or kind of far off or kind of like pointless. Like, dog, I'm just trying to get to where I can consistently make $50K a month. Like, I don't need to go and influence the world. However, I do feel like it puts those other goals into perspective and helps you achieve them at a lot quicker rate as well, with a lot more ease. I promise when you get to whatever goal it is that you have right now, that maybe isn't changing the world, maybe it is just making $50K a month, maybe it's taking care of your family, whatever, getting a certain amount in the bank account. I promise when you get there, you're going to be like, what's next? I know I have many, many times.